Interesting news from the world of business, from the world of gaming, from the world of culture, and I think that there are some additional points worth talking about at the end of this article, as well as what I think is shaping up to be a big win if you are a gamer, because you will suddenly, I believe, have your lips to someone else's ears. You are going to be in the hands of someone who wants to make money, which means they want to give you what you want. So, what am I talking about here? Well, there has been an acquisition. EA will go private. In an article called Kushner's Secret Saudi Talks Paved Way for $55 billion EA Deal from Bloomberg, and it took 3 people to write this article: Annie Massa, Liana Baker, and Ben Bartenstein. From them, we get the following. Months before Electronic Arts Inc. and Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund agreed to a record-breaking buyout deal, President Donald Trump's son-in-law made a pivotal introduction. Jared Kushner brokered the initial connection between the Redwood, California-based video game maker and Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, and for months acted as a central figure in the talks, according to people familiar with the matter who requested anonymity to discuss private conversations. Why would they want anonymity? Could it be something to do with the cultural climate? When the deal's momentum slowed around mid-year, Kushner pushed to keep it going. Why was Kushner so invested in this? I think we actually know why. Some of the people said Kushner's matchmaking role in the plan to take EA private adds another strand to the dense tangle of business relationships wealthy Gulf states and the president's family. Just this week, as the news of EA deal ripped across Wall Street, the Trump Organization was inking a separate agreement to expand with another development in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia's second-largest city, underscoring the extent of the family's connections to the oil-rich nation. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, along with Silver Lake Management and Kushner's affinity partners, agreed to pay $210 per share in cash for EA, valuing the video game company at about $55 billion. JP Morgan Chase & Company is providing a $20 billion loan to support the deal. So you don't just have a lot of big money moving, you have a lot of big money moving from a lot of different places. The Saudis will be the largest contributor to the $36 billion in equity backing the deal, acquiring a controlling stake in EA, while Affinity will have the smallest share according to people familiar with the matter. Kushner, 44, already had a financial tether to the PIF after acting as a senior advisor to Trump in his first term, working on foreign policy negotiations in the Middle East. He founded Affinity Partners in 2021. The Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund contributed about $2 billion. Affinity, which now has $5.4 billion in assets, including from Abu Dhabi-based asset manager Lunate and the Qatar Investment Authority, hasn't previously been part of such a high-profile deal. Some of its other bets have been on companies including EGYM, a Munich-based health technology company, and in Greenwich, Connecticut, a Connecticut-based QXO Inc. So I actually, I want to take my points in reverse order, actually. So what are we doing here? Why are the Saudis being so aggressive in taking EA private? Well, obviously this is an image play from the Saudis. They are trying to rebuild their image on a world stage. It has taken a hit after their treatment, perhaps, allegedly, of members of the press. And I don't know if that's allegedly anymore. That might be proven. But anyway, not great stuff goes on there sometimes. And they, for what it's worth, to my understanding, seem to be very, very forward in their delineations in the Muslim world, saying, hey, you get into the far Middle East, that's not us. We're not that. And they seem to be very, very much trying to shield their image, and maybe rightfully so, against being thrown in with everything that goes on with terrorism and all of this sort of thing. So there is seeming to be a big push from that general region to say, okay, look, we need to start over. We need to kind of do maybe damage control. Maybe we need to actually clean our hands of some things. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what it is, but it seems that there is some type of mea culpa going on from that, from the UAE, from Saudi Arabia, these types of areas. Number two, which is very interesting to me. This is a culture play from Saudi Arabia, right? They're trying to rebuild their image. You can't turn on the television or fire up the internet or wherever it is that you get your news and not hear that part of this acquisition. Every time this acquisition and going private, EA going private is talked about, they're talking about the Saudis trying to clean their image up. But here's a bigger part, if you ask me. I chose this article. I mean, there were hundreds of articles about this EA going private deal. I chose this article for a reason. This is a culture play from Jared Kushner. Now, I saw Kushner on the Lex Friedman show, I believe it was. And guys, that is an impressive person. I don't care how you feel about Donald Trump. I don't care how you feel about Donald Trump's daughter. I don't care how you feel about Donald Trump's politics. This was an impressive person. Go seek out that interview. I'm pretty sure it was with Lex Friedman. Very impressive person. He understands what's going on here in the United States. He understands the cultural tides that are swinging. He watched Elon Musk buy Twitter. He is watching David Ellison buy Warner Brothers. David Ellison, maybe not the most right-wing person. I don't know his politics per se, but I do know that his father is very close friends, Larry Ellison, very close friends with Elon Musk. So David Ellison making a culture push into buying Warner Brothers does not strike me as strange either. This is the right wing making a push into the cultural landscape. The right wing has been largely absent from quote-unquote culture for a very, very long time. Now, here's the next thing that we need to talk about, which was the first point that I had here that I skipped. The Saudis clearly want to clean their image up. Jared Kushner clearly wants to have a little bit more probably center/center-right entertainment floated out there so that not everything is so radically left-wing. Those things are true. Those things are absolutely true. What else is true is that this was a $55 billion deal, and they want to make money. So guess what? Suddenly EA, which seems to have been, and I'm not a gamer, but there's a couple games with which I am familiar. One of those is Madden. I used to play Madden. And the Madden community is absolutely done with Madden. EA doesn't listen to people. The Saudis and Jared Kushner did not just spend $55 billion not to make money. So I asked ChatGPT, what are the top IPs, intellectual properties, for EA? Something that I think is a very understandable question for an artificial intelligence. EA Sports FC, that is apparently, I believe, the soccer game, right? FIFA, which is supposed to be $2 billion a year. $8 billion over a 4-year run. And that is a lot of money. Guess what? That game's going to get better. That is a staple for this company. They want to make as much money as possible. The Saudis are big in soccer, period. Then they have Madden. Supposedly, it makes about $1 billion a year, despite the fact that it's just changing stickers on the cover of the game itself. Guess what? The community's not happy. It's going to get better. Apex Legends, I do not know what that is, but apparently it makes a lot of money for them, though there are no estimates there. The Sims is going to be revitalized, I guarantee you. Battlefield, I am somewhat familiar with. I used to have a roommate that played Battlefield, I believe. That is a first-person shooter. First-person shooters are massive. You're getting a new Battlefield. Star Wars, they do have the license to the Star Wars games. I don't think they have I don't know why no one has the license to the Marvel games, but here are the estimated revenues, and I'm going to throw SimCity on here too. They have The Sims, but SimCity has been defunct for a very long time, and city builders are very popular if you go on the YouTube space and look at gamers. So I would imagine that SimCity is going to be revamped as well. But you're looking at a $55 billion deal, and on your screen I got AI to give me estimates over a 10-year-ish period what these franchises are worth. So you're looking at, over a 10-year period, FIFA being worth about $15 to $20 billion, Madden being worth $5 to $7 billion, Star Wars being about $5 billion, Apex Legend $3 or $4 billion, The Sims $5 to $7 billion, and Battlefield $2 to $4 billion. It's a lot of money. 37, 42, it's not 55 billion, even on the high end of things. So there is going to be a lot of work done in this area. There's going to be a lot of work done on these properties. And here's one of the things about, so I talked about resetting the culture, about maybe making these things middle of the road / right wing. I don't think anything's going to be right wing, maybe Battlefield. Like, just looking at things, right? One of the advantages of going private is that you have free reign on the company. I would imagine that what's going to happen here is a lot of layoffs. There are going to be a lot of people working on these properties that were dead weight, or that were actively rooting for things in the property that were damaging to the property, all of the cultural woke agenda stuff, that are going to be gotten rid of immediately. The company's private. We don't have to answer to shareholders. You're done. You're toast. Get out. Goodbye. That is probably going to be step one here. Step two is they have to do some general accounting. Let's pretend, so just eyeballing it, I probably should have done the math beforehand, just eyeballing it, the high end of these estimated 10-year revenues is probably about $50 billion. You're the Saudis. You're Jared Kushner. You're any of these investors. Do you want to wait 10 billion? Do you want to wait 10 years to lose 5 or 10% of your money? You do not. So immediately upon axing a certain percentage of the workforce, you're going to be looking at these properties and saying, okay, what's hot? What's popular? What can I do? I imagine we're going to see phone-based players here. We're going to see things that are accessible on social media. And you're going to see things that are actually... So pretend, what would happen in today's world? The last SimCity is a long time ago. What if you could have a SimCity today where interactive online gaming is much bigger than it was? Now I can visit your city, you can visit my city, etc. What if we had Madden, but it was like 7-on-7 football? It was like backyard football. What if we had like the 989 games, 989 sports, 989 games? You remember those old video games with Mike Allstott on the cover? NFL Blitz, I think it was called. We'll get something like that. What about Star Wars? They're going to try to do something with Star Wars. They're not going to just sit on the property and let it rust the way that EA has now. I think that we are going to see a very aggressive type of game making here that's going to use a lot of AI. It's going to get rid of a lot of dead weight in the think tank portion of the company. I would imagine we're going to see a lot of spaghetti on the wall. So this could be an era of gaming that suddenly becomes very, very interesting. There could be a lot of accidental hits. There could be a lot of games that pop up and no one saw them coming, but they're very fun. So anyway, guys, that is just sort of the thoughts that I had on this. If you like or appreciate this sort of thing, this is sort of what I do here. So consider hitting the like button, consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.